Hi, I'm Amii Freeman. I'm the Senior Content Manager at Prosperity Media, and I'm going to talk to you today about how emotional intelligence can transform your SEO content. But first of all, a little bit about me. As Will said, I trained as an actor over 10 years ago now, and in my first year of training, I got my first ever audition for a paid commercial. It was a well-known bread brand in the UK, and I was super excited. I turned up to the audition without knowing what the brand was, what my role was going to be, and I was told to just improvise bullying someone on camera. I did this, and a few days later, I got a call to say that I got the part. Still didn't really know what the part was, but I turned up on set, super excited, to be told that I'd be playing the part of a 1960s skinhead, and I had to have my head shaved. My hair was around this length at the time, and yeah, I was young, I was hungry, so I was super excited, and I did it. I got paid extra to shave my head, but I didn't know what a skinhead was. To put it politely, a skinhead is a subcategory in British subculture. In the 60s, it was working class people who categorized themselves from social alienation, and they shaved their heads, they had a masculine sense of dress, and they banded together. I didn't know this as a teenager at all, so I winged it, really, with my co-star Jamie. We had our head shaves, and we went about and did the scene in which we were chasing other kids in the advert. A few months later, the commercial came out, and all my family gathered around to watch the commercial, my first big break. And as this bus pulls away, I was meant to get off this bus, but it cuts, and I am not in the show at all. So great, really crushed it as an actor. Obviously, I'm an actor now, I'm on stage here, not. My learnings from that is that you've got to know who it is you're targeting, the emotion that you need to connect to, and who you are in relation to the other people on set. Otherwise, you're going to produce something that is of poor quality. So I bring these learnings now into my career. So I'm going to teach you how not to lose your hair with SEO content. So the importance of content teams in SEO. You've got three pillars. What are you saying on your page? What are other websites saying about you off page? And what do users say about you? And that middle bit that I've colored in green is that sweet spot and how you get a website to rank and re-rank. It's no longer okay just for content writers to write content that's just going to rank. They need to be focused on what their users are saying about you through their behavior as well. In the API document leak that we saw last year, Google is analyzing human behavior. They're analyzing how users are interacting with your content in order to rank and then re-rank your content. So content writers no longer need to just rank content, they also need to re-rank content and be concerned with how people are interacting with that content. And when you look at the Google updates that we've had, they all have a focus on the user as well. We've got site reputation abuse. How are people taking other people's content and using it as their own? Spam update, if somebody is just spamming low quality content. Helpful content update, how quality is your content for an actual user. And the page experience update is how easy it is for somebody to go around your content as well. So everyone is focused on the user. And when we look further into the Google Quality Rater guidelines, which is a quality rater that will come onto your website and have a look, ultimately it always leads back to that search results should help people. If you're a brand, you exist to help somebody. Obviously, you exist to make money as well, but there's a pain point or a pleasure point that you are offering in the market, so you exist to help people. Your content should also exist to help people. So once again, Google is always trying to protect and understand the user. If we forget about the user, then we forget the point of SEO content. So how do we keep the user in mind when we're writing content? What we can do is build upon our emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence was first coined in the 90s by Daniel Goleman, a psychologist in the USA. And it's the ability to manage both your own emotions and understand the emotions of people around you. And emotional intelligence is being used in a lot of different aspects in life, in particular sales. And in SEO content, you're always trying to sell something, whether it's your authority on a topic that you're writing about, whether it's the trust that somebody should trust in you, or whether it's that conversion that you need from your content. Jeb Blount is a sales expert, and he has taught lots of companies to increase their sales by using emotional intelligence. And he theorizes that emotional intelligence trumps IQ in sales success. So in order to get the sale, in order to get those engagement rates and that conversion from your content, drive traffic, but continually re-rank, we need to think about the emotion of a keyword when somebody is searching. And just bringing it back to the psychology of it as well, Daniel Goleman states that the emotional brain responds to an event more quickly than the thinking brain. So if somebody is on your page and you know that their emotional brain is going to respond to it quicker than their thinking brain, you need to understand what it is they're feeling and try to connect to them first, because that could be the part of their brain that makes a decision about your content before the thinking brain. And then Harvard professor Gerald Zaltman did a study on how customers think. And he came to the conclusion that 95% of purchasing decisions are based on emotion as well. So if our purpose is to continually re-rank through engaging customers, then we need to think of that emotion first. So EQ can be split down into 5 pillars. We've got self-awareness. How aware are you of your own emotions? Self-regulation. How can you regulate those emotions yourself? Motivation. What motivation do you have to improve or connect with others? Empathy. How can you put yourself into somebody else's shoes? And social skills. How can you actually communicate with them and engage with them? Improving EQ ultimately could lead to engaging content, because when you improve your EQ, you improve your active listening. How active are you in listening to what people want in the market, what their search intent is, what they're turning to different forums to ask? Appreciating emotions of other people. How much do you actually analyze somebody's emotion when they search a key term and what they need? Understanding audiences, what's unique about the audience that you're actually going for. Personalizing your responses. How do you make your content unique compared to the top results? Clearer communication. How are you going to connect with them through your language? And then those deeper connections for engagement rates. But ultimately, if you harness EQ in many aspects of your life, it can lead to building trust. Now, trust is theorized as either a skill set or an emotion. But when you trust someone, you feel confident and secure in them. So you could argue that it is built on an emotion. So if we're trying to build trust ultimately, then we need to look at that emotion. And when you take this back to the Google Quality Rater guidelines, the biggest principle for a content writer that they need to follow is the EAT guidelines, that experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. And the EAT guidelines says that trust is the most important factor at the center of these guidelines. So you've got to consider the extent to which your page is accurate, honest, safe, and reliable for someone to feel confident and secure in you. So bringing it back to the 5 pillars, how can we do this as an SEO content writer? So the top 3 are quite personal, working on your emotions, yourself, and your regulation. What I'm going to talk to you about today is harnessing the bottom 2, which relates to how you connect with other people. You've got empathy, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, and social skills. Now, writers should naturally have good social skills in their written communication. It's why you become a writer. But empowering that with empathy, you're able to ensure that you can connect with somebody through those social skills. So as I said, empathy is generally described as the ability to take on another's perspective, to understand, feel, and possibly share and respond to their experience. Now, we've got 3 different types of empathy. Cognitive empathy is understanding that emotion, what someone's going through. Emotional empathy is feeling that emotion with them, and compassionate empathy is understanding what they need to move forward. So the 2 that we can do as an SEO writers is focus on cognitive empathy and compassionate empathy. We don't necessarily need to feel what somebody else is feeling when they search, but we do need to know why they're feeling that and how to help them. So looking at the EAT guidelines, you can bring a level of EQ to these signals. So experience is to what extent do you have the experience for this topic? Now, experience is quite an emotive keyword. What have you gone through? Everyone goes through a different experience. So when you're looking at it through the lens of EQ, you can start to understand that people are looking for experiences because they're looking to see if someone else has gone through the same experience as you. In the guidelines, it says that you would trust a review from somebody who's actually used the product versus somebody who has not. So people are trying to connect with the people who have the same experience as them. Expertise. How much expertise do you actually have on this subject? And when you think about somebody having an emotion when they search that for that keyword, they're looking for somebody that they can trust, put their fears in, and ultimately decide that these are the people that they're going to put their that are going to relieve those fears. Authoritativeness. How much authority do you have in your voice for them to trust those fears in you? And ultimately, what pins it all together is that trust. How confident and secure are they going to be? And when you look further into EAT guidelines, the language that comes out is like achieves the purpose, satisfying, effort demonstrated, primary factor in trust, and that first-hand experience. This is quite empathetic language. You're trying to understand what it is somebody needs from a place of compassion. And most importantly, it says that EAT will differ depending on the topic of the page. So it's not a tick box It's not a tick box exercise. It's something that you need to break down per person that you're trying to target. So you could say it's called EEEAT. If you apply empathy at the beginning, that's what Google's trying to achieve. Coined by Prosperity. We just add another E onto that. So EEEAT, step by step. What can we do? You start with your research, the way that you research beyond just what's on the top 3 search results. Empathy mapping, bringing all of your research into an empathy map so that you know exactly what it is someone feels and needs from you. And then that empathy-led content creation, how do you gain that connection with somebody? So number 1 is that persona research. We do persona research is at the start of our discovery process at Prosperity, but you can also do a bit more when you're targeting different keywords as well, because ultimately people will have different needs for different keywords. And what you can do is look into social media groups. So taking the keyword large rug, for example, rather than just putting in lots of different keywords that are related to large rugs, we want to build that connection and engagement rates. So looking at social media groups, you can start to pull out what people connect with and why they're turning to other people to ask them about their experience. Looking at reviews, you can check why somebody is connecting with a different brand. What was their encouraging factor to make that conversion? And you can start to note down the things that made them make that conversion and use it for yourself. And then forums as well. People are turning to forums for those human connection, that human answer. So you can start to pull out the pain points that they have. You can start to see what is going on in their life when they search large rug. If they've got a baby that's soon to be crawling, that's a lot of emotions in there. There's a lot of stress. They're looking for a pain point. So you can start to pull that into your research and how you're going to connect with them beyond just creating content that ranks. So the learnings that we get from that for large rug is customers may already have a color in mind. They may have different requirements for each room. The rug must go beyond style choice and make it easier because they have pain points such as it needs to absorb water, easy to clean, pet kid friendly. Customers may be buying for a full family, not just themselves. This is a huge indicator because sometimes the person on your page making the conversion is thinking about many different people for that conversion as well. And then ultimately, they need to connect with a product that relieves a pain point for their household. It instills trust that it won't cause future pain points and will bring them joy in their designed home. Once you bring all these learnings together, you can start to do an empathy map. Now, an empathy map is just a formalized way of breaking down who it is that's going to be on your page and how to connect. In fact, the first Writers Hub that I ran in January 2023, we broke down all the questions that I asked myself before I start writing a piece of content, such as what I think someone's going to feel when they come onto that page, what I want them to feel, and how I'm going to guide them through that content as well. So this is a formalized way that you can do this. You can do this with every type of keyword until it becomes second nature to start thinking about the emotions in your piece. So you write down, what do they look at? What do they think and feel? What do they say and do? What do they listen to? What are their discouraging factors? What are they yearning to feel? What do they need to think and believe in? And what are their encouraging factors? This may look like this. So the keyword for Alzheimer's care home, ultimately it could be the family member of the Alzheimer's care home looking for this, not the patient themselves. And they may look at advice, family stories, feel-good tips. They may think about the worst case scenario and feel lost, overwhelmed, and worried. They may say they need help, but do everything for their family themselves. And they listen to doctors and specialists. Their fears for losing loved ones or choosing the wrong service may be discouraging them from taking action. And they may be yearning to feel relief and comforted and guided. And they need to think of all the options and believe their family are safe and comfortable. And then their desire to do the best for their family is an encouraging motivator to take action. And it's important to note that you can do this for any type of keyword. It doesn't have to be so deep. So New Zealand self-drive trip, for example, they look at guides, reviews, travel stories. They listen to local tips and other travelers. The fears for missing the top places or going to the wrong places may be discouraging them from actually taking that booking. And they may be yearning to feel excited, cultured, relaxed, and happy. They need to think of all the options and believe they're planning to see those best places. I mean, you only get a few weeks of holiday a year, so that people are trying to plan that best holiday. And their desire to see many places and have the relaxing holiday are encouraging them to take that action. But ultimately, when you do the empathy map, you can start to see the EAT signals that you can get on your page from a level of empathy. So if they look at advice, family stories, and feel-good tips, they're looking for the experience, that emotive keyword that somebody else has gone through the same thing as them. They listen to doctors and specialists. That's the expertise that you need to show in your content. Their fears for losing loved ones or choosing the wrong service is discouraging them. They need to trust that you are the authority for those fears. And as we said, trustworthiness, that's based on emotion. If someone is trying to feel confident and secure in you, and they're yearning to feel relief and comforted and guided, they need to trust that you're the people to do that. Ultimately, if you go from a place of empathy, you start to understand that you can build out content that you feel more confident in, that you're going to connect with somebody because you have more information about the keyword. And step 3 is you bring that into the empathy-led content creation. So your content brief, you can start to map out what emotions somebody may feel before searching, such as overwhelmed, worried, stressed. What they need to feel: support, seen and heard, confident in your knowledge. The expertise, if they listen to doctors, family experiences and care specialists, how are you going to get this into your content? And then the tone as well. If you need to connect with them and show that you're the authoritative voice, then you need to do that through your tone. And it's important to note that you shouldn't have the same tone all the way through your content. You want to connect with them and push them through to keep on reading. So for a piece, you may start with an empathetic and pensive tone of voice to tell that story and create that connection. And then you go into that authoritative tone of voice because you need to give them the top information that they need on that topic, and they need to trust you. And then at the end, you can take it back to a bit of an empathetic and inspirational tone of voice to push them into an action as well. So as I said before in the persona research, and James was saying earlier that people are turning to Reddit more and more because they're looking for other people's experiences. They're looking for that human voice and who else has gone through the exact same thing as them. People look to forums because they know they're going to get that. And Google is rewarding them, as we saw last year, with huge updates in the traffic that Google was sending to Reddit. By re-ranking them, people are turning to this, and they're also turning to TikTok for those voices as well. So how do we get that in our content in order to connect? Now, something I've been doing for one of our prosperity clients is they're in the travel space. So looking at the empathy map, I knew that people connect with other people's experiences, local tips, feel-good tips. And sometimes in the reviews, people would say, oh, I liked so-and-so from this branch, they gave me this good little tip. But that was after the conversion. And so I was like, well, how do we get that into the content in order to keep encouraging them to make that conversion as well and connect with them? So what we do is we run this newsletter a month ahead of our content plan, and the client sends it out to all of their staff, and they say, this is the content we're going to write about next month. Do you have any stories or feel-good tips? And then they send it in, everyone's involved, and then we feature them in the content as well. So that's number one on the left-hand side. And number two, on the right-hand side, is from the customers themselves, because the experience, they want to see the experience that somebody has had with your service as well. So what the customer does is they run a photo competition, and this goes beyond just reviewing their service. They want to hear what they were able to do with their service and how it relates to their real life. So they get photo competitions, they get those family stories from them, and then we can feature that in our content as well. So the perspectives that we feature in our content is twofold. It's from the perspective of the local staff members and then the perspective of the travelers as well. A brand that was doing this really well is Finder as well. They have the author bio, so the person who has wrote the content, but then they also feature multiple perspectives in their content from experts in-house. So you don't just read one long white text blog, you see different people's opinion in one subject as well. So if people are turning to Reddit to see multiple experiences, this is one way that Finder is getting it into their content as well. And another thing that you need to do is make sure that you're going to connect in your language. So at this point, I want to highlight that there's a huge difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is feeling pity or sorrow for somebody without truly understanding. It's talking from a higher ground, it's expressed but not truly understanding, and it's jumping to that silver lining. Whereas empathy is understanding a person's feelings and putting yourself in their shoes. It's sitting beside them, it's understanding their vulnerability to connect, and it's not minimizing any emotion whilst compassionately helping. Sympathetic copy may sound like this. At our Alzheimer's care home, we understand the challenges families face. With compassionate staff, we create a safe haven where residents are cherished and supported every step of the way. Gain peace of mind when your loved ones are in our care. Sounds good, it hits all the terms, but empathetic copy may sound like this. At our Alzheimer's care home, we are with you at every stage of your family's journey through this life-changing disease. Our compassionate staff get to know your family and work with you to create a personalized care package. We share your worries and fears, guiding and supporting you at every step of the way. And what are the differences? At this point, I need to note that I did my slides on Canva, and then I needed to export it for the purpose of this, and it messed up all of these boxes. So don't look at these, I'm going to point them out. So in the sympathetic copy, it uses language such as, we understand the challenges, we create a safe haven, gain peace of mind. Whereas empathetic copy is with you at every stage, get to know your family, create a personalized care package, share your worries, supporting and guiding you at every step of the way. So the two main differences there is in sympathetic copy, it's about the brand, it's what they're bringing. Whereas empathetic copy, it's about the person who has searched, the person who's reading your content. In summary, sympathetic writing is for the reader to understand your topic. It's great, they understand it, you've explained it clearly. But empathetic copy is for the reader to feel truly understood by you. And if our goal is to get those engagement rates to rank and re-rank a website, then empathetic copy is the way we need to go. And the last thing that you can do with your content creation is to bring it all together with a great page experience. Because ultimately, you want those engagement rates, you want people to actually connect with your content. You don't just want lots and lots of text that's going to eventually bore them. You want to make sure that they're engaged with that content. And the Google Helpful Content Guidelines says that it's actually a ranking system. They're looking to reward content that provides that good page experience. And when you take that back to emotional intelligence as well, neuroscientists have found that the brain receives images much quicker than other stimuli. which is why value propositions need to paint words with pictures of the problems you can solve. So ultimately, we need to make sure that our content is being seen through engaging design as well. One thing that we did at Prosperity with a client is their service pages were hit, and when we did a competitor analysis, we realized that their competitors had all tweaked their design. They'd done a lot of page experience redesign. So we went about optimizing our content from an empathy point of view because we hadn't touched these service pages before. But then at the same time, we wanted to analyze how we could change the design with the client. Our in-house SEO designer, Alice, and the content from myself, we analyzed exactly what somebody would need in order to engage with a brand straight away. So from the empathy map, we knew that somebody instantly needed to answer some questions about your brand. They wanted to know that you can solve that pain point for them straight away. So you want to put that instant connection for them straight away and answer those questions from that awareness stage instantly. And this is where we put our review signals and then interactive sections as well, such as Google Maps, to let them know how close they are to this service. Next thing we did was we understood that once somebody has those sections answered, they're then going to start to wonder whether they should be considering you versus another brand. So this is where we then displayed different products in image cards as well. We displayed the competitive advantages that they have in easy to read, understandable UX design with icons. And then this is where we put the testimonial section to help them build trust and see the experience that somebody has had with the brand as well. And then at that point, we theorized that they may start to think about other questions that have not yet been answered in our content. So this is where we put those FAQs to say, don't go off page and look elsewhere. This is, we can answer that for you and build that authority. And then we added some visual aid content in there as well to help paint the story of what they could do with this service. When we tested this, first of all, we did 8 weeks of the design test on the paid link, just so we knew that it wasn't going to negatively affect conversions. Before then, we put it onto the organic page after that. And we put the new content onto 8 pages, but only the new design onto 1 page, because we wanted to see if the design actually helped increase those engagement rates. From March 2024 to August 2024, the organic click saw 104% increase in conversions, 72% increase in scrolled users, people actually scrolling and reading, not just jumping in, jumping out for that click. 34% increase in average session duration, 36% improvement in average position, and 155 new and improved keywords. Overall, the design page had an average position of 8.86, but the undesigned pages had an average position of 12.05. So the empathy-led content and UX design really helped to get those engagement rates up. Another case study that we have is we realized when we were doing this content is that people are actually searching in different ways. The way that we thought people would engage with content, we realized that they were actually searching through different ways because we didn't pick it up, first of all, because it was low search volume. But people in Reddit were asking people different questions about this service beyond just the location. And this is in the car rental niche, by the way. James and his wife were going to Europe at the time as well and finding a rental car. So we asked him all the different questions of how they found that rental car, and we realized that they narrowed down beyond just location into the specific things that they need from that car. Didn't have too much search volume, but we went about and optimized those pages for those as well using that persona research, the empathy-led content creation. And myself and Frank Dugnan, content support, wrote 8 different pages. And overall, we've got 902% increase in traffic year on year for those pages and 828% increase in engaged sessions. So it goes beyond that keyword search volume and empathetically connects with where your readers are at. And the ripple effect of this is that engaging SEO content actually affects all channels as well. Because when you look at it, email marketing, social media, Google Ads, and Google Business Profile all have a link to the website. So if your content is not engaging, if it's just there just to rank, then what's the point? It's gonna affect all your other channels. So you want to make sure that it's engaging, convertible content on there to have that ripple effect across all channels. So we actually saw a 50% increase in assisted conversions from all those channels to those pages, and a 32% increase in assisted conversions from organic. So you should be looking beyond just what your SEO traffic is doing to make sure that you're engaging from that holistic point of view. And then the last thing that we did is once again created 8 articles for 0 to 10 search volume keywords. And this was from realizing that people were asking this in like People Also Ask, and they were turning to Reddit because government sites were ranking, but they weren't quite answering the query for each different type of persona from different countries. So we went about and created 8 articles in a cluster targeting this, and it became top performing pages in that cluster. We achieved 15,000% ROI for the client and over 1.4 million in assisted conversions as well. So looking at your content beyond just keywords and actually engaging with who you're going to connect with, who it is that's actually going to make that conversion on your page is the way to go to increase those rates. So key takeaway, Google wants us to write for the people first and to be helpful to the user. You need to research what people need rather than regurgitating top 3 results. And you need to utilize empathy to understand EAT principles and write content that connects to increase engagement rates and conversions. Because ultimately, if I had known who it was I was playing, the persona I was playing, the emotion that they had, and how to connect with my audience, then maybe I would have remained in the advert and not just been a blur on a bus as you go by. Come and chat to our content team at any point today. They all are passionate about content. They all have a different reason why they're in content. Frank, for example, likes to improve Google content every single day. So we're very passionate. Come and talk to us at the networking drinks tomorrow. Thank you.